As parents, we're told how important it is to be present with our children, and that's true. But here's the part we don't talk about enough. There is a massive difference between being present and being ever present. And if you're not careful, your well-intentioned involvement can chip away at your child's confidence, independence, and resilience. In this video, I'm going to explain the downsides of perfect parenting and show you what your kid actually needs from you to truly thrive. Let's think about those normal day-to-day interactions with your child. Now, one really common one is your child is struggling with a puzzle or to put their shoes on, and you see them getting frustrated. Then you hear that sound, that little grunt or squeal that tells you a tantrum is coming. So naturally you swoop in to help, and before you know it, you're practically doing it for them, all the while thinking that you're being helpful. And let's be honest, in that moment, it does feel like a parenting win. The puzzle gets completed without pieces being launched as projectiles across your living room, and you can finally leave the house because their shoes are on. The crisis is averted and everyone is happy. Except here's what's actually happening beneath the surface. Every time you rush in to fix your child's problem, you're accidentally sending them a powerful message, and it's not the one you think. You're telling them, I don't believe you can handle this on your own, and you need me to solve this for you. And what your child learns from this is simple. When things get hard, don't keep trying, just wait for mum or dad to step in. But here's the real problem, and it's a big one. Every time you jump in to save the day, whether it's to help with that tricky jumper, restack the blocks that just keep falling over, or break up yet another argument over a toy, you're actually stealing precious learning moments from your child. To show you what I mean, think back to when your little one first grabbed that spoon, looked you dead in the eye, and declared, I do it. What happened next? It was total chaos. Food went everywhere, in their hair, on their face, smeared across the table, and somehow even in their ears. And let's be honest, in that moment, every fiber of your being wanted to grab that spoon and say, just let me do this. It's taking forever and you're making a massive mess. Maybe you even said things like, don't spill it, or just stop it. Actually, slight detour, using phrases like stop it is just one of 8 common phrases I recommend parents rethink, as they often don't convey the message we intend, and there are just better alternatives. If you're interested in finding out what these 8 phrases are, what message they're actually sending, and what to say instead, just click the link in the description below. Okay, now let's get back on track to our messy eater. Now, in that situation, you could have easily have grabbed that spoon and taken over and saved yourself the inevitable cleanup. But you didn't, because deep down, you knew that that messy moment wasn't a problem to fix. It was your child figuring out the surprisingly complex skill of steadying a spoon while calculating the perfect angle to actually get the food into their mouth. But something else was happening too. By letting them struggle through this challenge, they were gaining something far more valuable than just eating skills. They were building their I can do hard things muscle. With each attempt, they were learning to face problems head on, manage frustration when that yogurt landed on their chin for the 5th time, develop persistence to keep trying different approaches, and when they finally got that spoonful into their mouth, they grew in confidence as they discovered through their own actions that they could overcome obstacles. And that's the hidden power of letting your child struggle through everyday challenges. So what does all this mean? It means that those everyday struggles aren't disasters to avoid. They're actually golden opportunities for your child's growth. Now, I do get it. Watching your child struggle is one of the hardest parts of parenting, and every fiber of your being wants to make things easier for them. And this desire to help isn't wrong. The question isn't, should I help my child? It's how can I help them in a way that builds them up instead of holding them back? And the secret is this simple shift. Stop doing things for your child and start being with them as they figure it out. This approach gives your little one exactly what they need, the space to develop independence and the security of knowing that you're right there if they truly need your help. Now let me show you what this looks like in real life. Imagine your child is playing with their friend and they lunge forward, grabbing the toy their friend is playing with because they want it. Now, instead of jumping in with a stop that, don't snatch, or they had it first, try this instead. Take a breath and just watch for a moment. Count to 10 silently if you need to, and give your child the space to figure things out on their own. They might surprise you like my son did and actually come up with their own solution about who gets the toy. But let's be realistic, sometimes they won't. Things might escalate to pushing or yelling, and that's your signal that the situation has moved beyond their abilities and it's time to step in. But here's the crucial part. You're helping them figure it out, not solving it for them. Now, exactly how you do this will depend on your child's age and developmental abilities. So if your child is around 2 or 3 years of age, they're still learning basic social skills. So in this situation, a more hands-on approach is needed. So for this example, you would start by getting down to their level. So you might sit on the floor or kneel beside them. Now, I know this seems like a minor detail, but positioning yourself like this helps them feel safe, and as a result, they'll be more receptive to what you have to say. Then you would just coach them through the skill that they're needing to develop. So in this case, it's turn taking. So you might say, you want the dinosaur. It's Mason's turn now. You can have the dinosaur in 1 minute. Then you would help your child wait. Now you might need to provide a distraction. So for example, you might say, let's go get another toy while you wait. Or if they're finding it really challenging, you could comfort them by holding their hand or just staying close by and say something like, waiting is hard. It'll be your turn soon. Then when that minute is up, you would clearly announce the change and say something like, Mason's turn is finished, now it's Olivia's turn. And then you would help Mason hand the toy over if needed and support Mason to wait his turn using the same approach. Now, if your child is a little older, so around 4 years of age and up and speaking in full sentences, your role shifts to being a problem-solving coach rather than the one who provides the solution. So instead of jumping in with, Mason had that first, you need to ask for your turn, you would encourage them to think about possible solutions by asking questions. So you might say, you really want the dinosaur Mason is playing with. What could you do so you could play with it too? Or you both really want that dinosaur. That's tricky. How could you solve this so you're both happy? And if they get stuck, you could offer 2 simple choices. So you could say, should you use a timer for turns or should you find another toy to play with? Now, I'm aware that that example might be obvious, so let's look at another less obvious one. Imagine your little one is struggling to put on their shorts. Now, if you were to use the approach of being with your child as they figure out, instead of jumping in and putting on their shorts, you would take a breath and just wait and give your child the opportunity to work it out themselves. If after counting slowly to 10 in your head, they're still stuck or getting frustrated, that's your signal to walk over to them and be with them as they solve the problem, helping as needed. Remembering that how you do this depends on their age and developmental abilities. So if your child is under 3, it's very likely that they're still learning how to put their shorts on. So you will need to take a more active role in guiding them through this task. And the way you do that is by breaking down the task of putting on their shorts into bite-sized steps that they can follow. So for example, you might say, first sit down. Now put your leg into this hole while you point to the leg hole. Then you might say, now put your leg in this hole, again, pointing to the correct leg hole. And then finally, you would say, stand up and pull up your shorts. But if your child is a little older, so around 4 years of age and speaking in full sentences, remember your role shifts to being a problem-solving coach rather than the one who provides the solution. So let's say their shirt is inside out. Instead of jumping in and fixing it for them, you could say, your shirt's inside out. What do you think you need to do first? Or if they're confused about which shoe goes on which foot, rather than simply telling them, you could ask, how can you tell which shoe belongs on which foot? And if they get stuck, you could then give them a little hint. Like, look at the pictures on your shoes. Do the hearts match up when your shoes are positioned like this? Now, I am aware that giving your child the space to struggle while getting dressed can be challenging, particularly in the morning when there's pressure to get out the door. So if you simply don't have the time to coach them through it, that's okay. But when you do have the time, know that by giving your child the opportunity to work through these challenges, you're not only building their dressing skills, which will make your morning smoother in the long run, you're also developing their problem-solving abilities, resilience, and confidence. Now, something I want to quickly mention is that there is an important caveat to remember. This approach of being with your child as they figure out things only works when they're calm and present. If they're rolling on the floor in tears because they can't get their shoes on, that's absolutely not the time for this approach. First, they need your help to calm down. And like most parents, your instinct is to probably talk them through it. And when that doesn't work, you talk even more, thinking that that's what they need. But here's the surprising truth. All that well-intentioned talking is actually making their tantrum worse. Now, I know this sounds counterintuitive, and that's exactly why I created this video. In it, you'll learn exactly why talking during a tantrum isn't just unhelpful, but actively intensifying it. Plus, I'll share a remarkably simple approach that will help your child calm down faster while reducing everyone's stress levels in the process.